handle it, and that's very, very important. And I think as an actor, especially in an age where social media is rampant, you have YouTube comments ready to rip into you at any given second, Reddit. Once you go to a theater school, once you learn acting, once you've dealt with a director who's going to be hard, you can deal with anything.
I think we get this question a lot, and it's mostly from people who want to specifically be anime voice actors, which is cool. But I think if you have your sights on being an anime voice actor, you should first ask yourself if you want to be an actor. Because like we said earlier, you're not going to be able to do anime 40 hours a week. Right. You're not going to be able to make a living just doing anime. And there's so many skills that go into being an anime voice actor that come from being an actor. So if you want to be an anime voice actor, ask yourself, do I want to be an actor? And the only way to find out is by doing it. But there's a lot of opportunities out there for acting that besides anime. You can do community theater, you can do like indie film, your friends with your camcorder in the backyard, like making videos, audio dramas, there's a website called the Voice Acting Alliance. Yeah, you guys might have heard of it, a lot of people are on there. That's a great resource, Not everything on there is something you're going to want to be like, this is professional work that I did, I'm going to put on my resume one day. But it's good practice to, check out what's on there, listen to what other people are doing, audition for some stuff. Sometimes there's like actual gigs on there, like, I'm not knocking fan dubs, but like, that's not professional work, But sometimes you'll find a good gig on there, and they're looking for people who are just,
a lot of people who do mods for like Skyrim and stuff.
Yeah, mods and stuff. There's tons of work out there for people just starting to get their feet wet.
Skyrim.
Nice.
Yeah.
And also,
It's Skyrim.
Live where the work is a big thing too.
Yes.
Like I lived in North Carolina. That's where I'm from. They're not doing anime in North Carolina. They're doing anime in Texas. They're doing anime in LA and New York. I'm not saying like pack up and move to LA if you don't have any experience or anything.
Right.
But yeah, first step, make sure you want to be an actor and get as much acting experience as you can. It doesn't have to be anything big or fancy. It doesn't have to be. It probably won't be professional just starting out. But just find out if you like it, because if it's just because you love anime and you don't really like being an actor, you might find out that maybe I just like this better as a hobby. But if you don't, find out.
I would say best advice I can give if you want to do voice acting, is that if you decided through all these steps, you want to be an actor, you've gone through all of these steps by figuring out, yes, I want to be an actor, yes, I want to do this. When it comes to voice acting, before you get your first voiceover audition, make sure you've been briefed on how everything works in those kind of auditions, because they're very different from stage auditions. There's a lot of things going on. There's time codes, script, there's a screen that has the video playing, there's a whole another aspect to voiceover that is not even addressed in stage acting, because when on stage you can pretty much do whatever you want within what the director has given you.
Don't freeze up like little Caitlin over here did her first audition.
Did you freeze up?
Yeah.
Tell us your first audition story.
Well, I didn't know I was auditioning that day. I'd gone in for Book of Bantora, and Chris was like, "Oh, now that you're done, we have an audition for you next door." And I'd never met the director, so I went in there, and it was Steven. And the first moment he was in there, and he's like, "Who are you?" I'm like, "Caitlin." I had no idea I was auditioning, and it was kind of like throwing to the wolves, and I froze. I was terrified, and I was like, "Well, this went well."
Yeah, that'll happen, dude.
Yeah.
That's where improv comes in. Dude, I had an audition last week that I didn't know I had. I got done with the session and they were like, audition for this thing, and I was just like, duh.
Yep.
improv training, being on stage, because like theater is like no other kind of acting, because you know, if you're on stage doing a play and you forget your line, you can't stop.
Or someone locks themselves out of the theater and you're stuck in the same verse of, what was it? Oh, I was Rapunzel and Into the Woods, and it was my little tower song, and the baker's wife never came in because she got trapped outside, and you're stuck with those same two notes over and over and over again.
Oh, I'm
and
so
the
sorry.
audience starts figuring it out.
Yeah, I saw a production of Into the Woods where they, somebody left their sword on stage. I forget, one of the princes, I think, and it was just like sitting on the floor, and the line was, "There's no sign of him anywhere," and they're like, "There's no sign of him anywhere." Like, threw it away. Like, so you know, improv is helpful.
Break on
Oh
stage.
yes, the cow. That is my favorite video.
You're like, no, Milky White.
Into the Woods is such a fragile show.
It really is.
It's so easy to mess up.
But yeah, no, I think for the most part, it's just make sure you like what you're doing before you get into it.
Yeah.
And it's more than just working in anime.
Yeah.
There's a lot of aspects, like one of my friends who now works in anime, she's like, I don't get to watch any anime outside of work at all. She's like, I don't get to watch shows from like other companies because I'm so busy with these.
Are you talking about me?
No.
Okay, because that's also me.
She just has to watch the same ones over and over.
I watch the same. Okay, I'm usually doing a show. Oh, yeah.
QC.
I'm usually doing a script for Funimation and a script for Sentai at the same time. And so, yeah, I watch a lot of anime. The same 2 anime in 5-second loops over and over again while I'm writing a line. Yeah, so you won't watch you won't watch very much anime when you start working in anime. You still love it, but it's like, you know, when I get done working on anime, like, for the day, I'm like, I'm not gonna watch anime now. And I mean, I was a fan, but like, before I started in the industry, now I'm like, okay, I've done my anime for the day. Now I'm gonna do something else.
I think I want to chime in on one last note with pursuing acting. And I don't think it gets talked about a lot, but please, if anybody is pursuing acting, voice acting, do not do so at the risk to your own mental health. Please take care of yourself. Please. That is something I think that gets missed over a whole lot.
Yeah.
And we can get very caught up in the excitement, essentially the rush of having a part, getting a role. Just take care of yourself.
Yeah.
It is a good, important thing, please.
Yeah, fall into a trap. And being an actor, like the most important thing about being an actor is being able to deal with rejection. Because you will do 100 auditions and maybe get one.
Right.
You know? And that's rough. That's hard. So, you know, you gotta build up a thick skin.
Or not feel anything.
Or just be numb. Just be a shell of a person. No. Just kidding.
Caitlin, stop talking about me.
Okay.
But which one?
Question.
Yes.
For those of you who's it's your first time being here in McAllen or the Valley area in general, how do you like it?
Oh, I
think it's awesome. Dude, I have never been to McAllen before. Have any of us been to McAllen before?
No.
No.
I
Okay.
didn't know this existed. I'm sorry.
Same.
No, it's probably like I know Corpus is there, and then I knew San Antonio was there below Austin. I didn't know there was like a line of bigger cities down there because they're never talked about. And I'm like, why did, like, when they were like, oh yeah, it's a small con in McAllen, Texas, it's super south. I'm like, okay. They're like, yeah, it's gonna be small. I'm like, I was expecting a small town, not one that had a Simon Mall being built.
Yeah.
Not one that has a Freddy's, which, by the way, Freddy's Frozen Custard opened in my hometown of Wichita, Kansas. So when I see one, that's how I know, like, things have expanded. It's very weird for me. Like, I went to the opening day of that one, so I was like, they have a Freddy's, so clearly they are some sort of civilization. Like, why?
They know what they're doing.
Not only that, Dave & Buster's just opened.
Yeah, you see,
You
Buster,
Dave & Buster's, you do not get to say you're a small town.
Yeah, so that was a surprise. I didn't know it existed. I'm happy I know it exists now. But so I'm sorry for my naivety. I came from Kansas. You've heard about our education problems.
Girl, I'm from North Carolina. I'm with you.
Man, we are just in the... It's like same name, 2 different worlds, but somehow a reflection.
When will your reflection show who you are?
Inside. Thanks for having us, McAllen.
Yeah.
No, that's not the end of the panel. Don't clap. We're not clapping. We're just saying, you're talking
15
about...
minutes, by the way.
Yes. We're just saying thanks for having us, because you asked us how we liked it.
Yes.
Stay for 15
I mean,
minutes.
we even got-
Yeah, and then at the end of
Don't
the
be-
15 minutes, I think we have to kick you out and then let you all back in because we gotta make sure you're all 18.
Oh, is that in the same room? Is that in here?
Oh wait,
I think it's in here.
we'll kick you out anyway.
Anyway,
Yes.
we're spreading misinformation.
Any questions?
It's in 103, said Bryson. Bryson knows.
Back in the back, you.
Oh, yes, yes we can.
Hi. That is actually my favorite voice, largely because, does anyone here play tabletop role-playing games? Like Dungeons and Dragons, Mage the Awakening? One of the ways that I used to practice voices a whole lot was creating characters for Dungeons and Dragons and playing with my friends and acting at the table. It's a really good way to work on developing unique and individual characters, so once one character died, your new character acted completely different. The voice that I am using now is from a mage named Ember, and it is actually the voice that became Shiro, Mio, and Midori for Little Busters and No Game, No Life. So it has a big favorite place in my heart.
Aw, thank you. Anybody play Smite in here?
I've played it a few times.
So I'm really, really excited about the skin I played in Smite. It's a skin for the Morrigan called Twisted Metal, and it's absolutely supposed to be a play on early 2000s emo punk kids, which I take great personal offense to. Dude, it was great because when I did that, like I don't know that director. I've only worked with him that one time, and there's no way he could have known. But the character is like, she says all, because a lot of the skins in Smite are like jokes, like they're very like subculture-y things. Like there's one that's like a doge that says wow and stuff. Like they're all like very specific things. And this one is like an emo scene kid from like the time when we were in high school. And she talks like this, and she goes, "Oh great, it's you. What's the point in caring when all it brings is pain?" And she says all these stereotypical things, and then like she goes, "I knew life had a purpose when I joined Anime Club." It's like, ouch, like I was doing the session and I was like, I feel like you're just making fun of me specifically. Like, stop telling me to smile more. I'll smile when I have a reason to smile. Like, so that's, try my phone again. That's my favorite. Meg, what's your favorite?
Okay, so I have two favorites. I have
The one that's all the way up here, it's a really small, tiny voice, and I don't get to do her that often, and I really, really like this one. I don't know why, I just think it's really cute. And then I really have this one, her name is Lucy, and she talks like this, and she's from Brooklyn, obviously. But she goes around, and she talks, and this is just an accent that I use, and I just call it my Lucy voice, it's because, yeah. Yeah. Sorry. Sorry.
What?
That was good. That was fun.
it was
I like
Okay.
making lots of sentences.
It's my Lucy voice.
so ridiculous.
Caitlin,
Yeah, wait.
Which one?
can I make a, oh, sorry. K-Bar,
Yes.
can I make a request?
Yes.
Will you please do Jessie for the class?
Oh my god.
What class?
No!
Get it?
Oh no, Sue, I hate you. Okay, so I have to tell a story. Did she tell you what it was, or did she just tell you to ask that?
You need to tell everyone what it is.
Okay, so that's my friend Sue in the Ballman costume. We went to college together, and she just moved to Houston, and I love her. But we drove down to this con together, and we decided that we were really Texas because we stopped at Buc-ee's and Whataburger in the same stop. Like the same intersection, they're just right next to each other. And I don't think I could do it for all these people. But like I did a voice that was like, it's my Buc-ee's voice. And I use it when I make fun of people at Buc-ee's because there are people that just go to Buc-ee's to hang out, okay? Like there's people, you know.
This is like what everyone in a small town Kansas did, but it was Walmart because Walmart was open 24 hours
It's
a
just the
day.
place that people go to hang out. So like, I we got real bored on the way down here, and we just created this character named Jesse. And he loves to go to Buc-ee's. Buc-ee's is his favorite place, and he loves beef and nuggets. And we was talking about Jesse and his wife, Miss Debbie. Excuse me? Okay, Miss Debbie is, there's this whole backstory, all right? This happened yesterday, all right? Miss Debbie
5 hours to
is
make this.
see, like, when you're an actor, like, you can't help yourself. You have to just create this weird, like, Anyway, I don't even think it's an actor thing. I think it's just a friends thing, you know? Like, you have a thing with your friends that just evolves and snowballs, and it's this big giant joke. So me and Sue, we used to work at Cracker Barrel together in college, and there was this nice old lady who worked there. Her name was Miss Debbie, okay? And she would, you know, we would be waitressing, and Miss Debbie would have her little tray, and me and Sue would be busy, like everybody needs biscuits and cornbread, like right now, we're all running around like, excuse me, Miss Debbie, I'm gonna have to get her around her, but if she needed to reach around somebody to get like a pot of coffee, she would go, excuse me, just like that, and she'd sing it every time. So we decided that Miss Debbie and Jesse are lovers. He's been married twice, but he left his second. But what? Is he married to Miss Debbie? Yeah. Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry, I forgot.
Like a real Southern gentleman.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Miss Debbie, I love you.
She would never be with a man I'm with.
Oh no! Excuse me?
You guys are giving me like child beauty pageant PTSD right now. So hard.
Oh, because of Miss Debbie? Or Jessie?
Both of them.
You get up there, Caitlin, you better win this award for me. Make me proud, sweetie.
A few years later, if I would have been at that show, I've been right next to Honey Boo Boo had it been a few years later.
Thank you so much for that. I got some beaver nuggets in my purse. Oh, I love you, Miss Debbie.
So good. I'm loving this excuse me thing, honestly. So good.
Alright, does anybody else have any questions? At this point, we're in the final 10, 12
That has
minutes.
everything to do with women in anime.
That's great.
Miss Debbie is very important to all of our time.
You sweetheart.
Miss
You
Debbie.
are so sweet.
Yes.
Hey, so can the three of you speak to, as it specifically relates to the female vocal instrument, vocal pedagogy or hygiene in the realm of like, what kind of voices tire you out specifically? How do you take care of your voice? How do you
Yes.
keep from losing your voice as with being called on to voice little boys, old women, etc., etc. So I would just maybe if you could.
Yeah, that's a really good question. We rarely get asked like technical stuff like that.
Right.
Does anybody particularly want to start?
I know something in particular that I can start on. When I'm doing the harsher little boy voices, I end up falling into vocal fry sometimes, which is something that can really end up messing up your voice.
But when I'm talking all the way down here, I have to make sure that I'm, doing it in a proper manner and I'm using enough, breath support underneath.
Breath support is very important because that's what's going to really take it off your vocal cords, because you can't just completely rely on your cords. The air moving through it is going to make it more crisp sounding. I also, if I have a tickle in my throat, this might sound gross, but I drink apple cider vinegar. Not a lot, but like maybe a teaspoon or two, because especially if I feel like there's mucus there, it dries it out and it makes it a lot easier. For the most part, I just really pay attention to what's straining my voice. Screaming is always very difficult, of course. That's always hard. But I always, if it's something extended, usually the director will do it on their own, but I'll request that comes at the end of a session, so everything else is consistent.
They're usually really good about that.
They're really good about that, but I don't think I've ever had to be like, hey, can we stop? And because they've been like, we'll do this later, and we'll jump to something else, and just take note of when the crazy screaming is. But for the most part, I would say like my harsh little boy voices, because not all my little boy voices are like that one, but that one in particular can knock my throat a little bit, that I have to pay attention to it.
Everybody has their little tricks. Like, there's some actors that are like, oh, I don't do any caffeine. There's some actors that say, I drink a Red Bull. There's There's a lot of tricks. There's things that work for some people and don't work for other people. I think like if you're speaking like broadly, stay hydrated, definitely. If you're not hydrated, you're gonna have mouth noise. I do, really. Like if I'm doing an audition, I'm like, I hear like in the mic, you know, like that's because I'm not drinking enough water.
Right.
And, you know, stay rested. A lot of people like, I know some people that won't talk like all day before a session. I'm like, that to me is no good. If that works for you, cool. But I think, you know, you gotta warm up. I always warm up in the car. Like, I'll do some vocal warm-ups, you know, tongue twisters just to, you know, get everything warmed up and moving. I'll sing in the car on the way there just to kind of get my energy up. No Panic at the Disco, though, because I'll scream and I'll get too excited and then I'll wear my voice out. I love them.
I have to practice diction a lot.
Yeah, like I'll do like, what is to do today and
skateboard
then 2 till 2. Like little, cute little tongue twisters. You learn a lot of those in theater. Vocal warm-ups, like just making sure that your instrument is warm but not exhausted when you go in. Because if you go in and you're not warmed up, it's like your voice is just like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
And you won't be at your full potential. I like to do like tea and honey if I'm not feeling good.
Yeah.
But most of the time I'll stay away from like caffeine or soda. I love soda, but I won't do it.
I stay away from sugar before sessions. I try to stay
and like gooey food. Like I don't eat. Yeah, same.
Right. I don't usually eat right before. I'll eat after. I'll wait. Well, unless it's like a stupid long session, but I don't have that many of
I
those.
don't get hungry when I'm in the booth, oddly enough. Like, if
Right.
I'm working in the booth, I will never get hungry, so normally I'll just forget to eat for the entire day, which is not great, but
Right.
You know.
it's a workout in its own self. I'm very big about hydrating. Unfortunately, due to a lot of dietary restriction, I pay a lot of attention as to what will make me, I have acid reflux, so identifying everything that will make my acid reflux act up and not eating it before a session, or eating it period, because that still causes damage to your esophagus, which really stinks. I don't do a lot of straining voice. I get cast a lot into the same thing, so like the really quiet characters, I don't get a lot of strain in those. Screaming obviously is a big issue, but Texas, especially Austin, you have to deal with allergies a lot. I am one of those people who gargle salt water. You don't swallow it, you just gargle it, and really hot salt water to get mucus out, and that's how, like if I have a session and I feel myself really knowing my allergies are acting up, it is allergy medication and nasal saline sprays up the nose because, good lord, making sure flush it, and then gargled salt water. And in the booth, making sure that you're drinking the entire time.
It's really easy to get dehydrated in the booth.
Well, also being aware of what kind of voice you're using and the type of positioning for your body. When I'm doing a character that's very low energy, I sit down, so I'm not overexpending air for my voice and I'm not pushing it, so I'll limit myself. But if I'm doing a character that requires a lot of energy or a lot of passion in the voice, I essentially toss the chair out of the booth, don't need it, sit in second position. That if you've never done second position, it's essentially in dance is where you stand, your feet shoulder length apart, and I'm ready to go at that point. And that makes sure I am not cutting myself off of air that I could be using and power in my voice, and not overworking my poor vocal cords that are probably being overworked when I'm sitting down and trying to scream.
Good question. We're gonna get out of here a couple minutes early because there's another panel going on in here, and we have another panel at 7:30 right now in 103. It's an 18+ panel. It's us, Bryson Bogus, Chris Patton. It's gonna be a good time. It's gonna be good time.
Yes.
You know, for all you 18+ people, for not, thanks for coming.
A quick reminder on 18+ panels, please no photography or videotaping of any of that. The 18+ panels are for you all to experience live, and we do not want them on YouTube. We say things in there that, if taken out of context and cut the wrong way, could potentially harm our careers. So we're here to have a good time, so please respect that request of us, please.
Thank you guys so